Tasty! Welcome back, everybody. Another exciting graphic discussion for today. Today we're going to be talking about 1 Minute War, which is a Flash arc that ended the last run of the Flash, the comic. So very exciting. And with me today, very exciting guest, I have the Animate. What's up, man?
Ooh, nice. I'm good, thanks. Thanks again for the invite.
Yes, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming on. And this is exciting. I love doing these so much. I think it's so fun to introduce, everyone's got their like, hey, you should watch this, you should read this. But like this time it actually comes happen.
Yeah. Like speaking about the 1 Minute War, like I don't know if you just want to jump back right at it or if you want to talk about something else first. But it was
First, I want to know your origin story. Where did you come from? How did you get into comics and manga, and then how'd you start your YouTube channel?
Nice. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I am the Animate. I do videos about manga, anime. Sometimes I talk about comics, which is something that I love to talk about because before becoming like a full-on weeb, I was like a big comic book nerd. So I like to. It's a funny thing because of course. Probably you have already figured that out, but by my accent. But I am from Italy, and basically, like one of the ways that I've started learning English was reading comic books. Because, like, since I was a kid, I was always a fan of comic books, but you couldn't find translated comic books in Italy at the time. So, like, I literally had to learn English just so I could read comics. Because, like, I really loved comics at the time. Like the first I was very into Spider-Man, like specifically the Ultimate Spider-Man run with Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley. Like I loved that. And then there was the run with Miles Morales, with Bendis as well, and Sara Pichelli. And yeah, that's I remember like watching. I don't know if you ever watched those videos, but when people do scans of comics and they upload them on YouTube with like let's say trap as a background music or something like that. Basically, I was watching those, trying to figure out what was happening in the comics, and then slowly I got to understand what I was reading, and that's basically is my story.
Nice, that's exciting. So you originated in comics, and then you have shifted to manga a little bit, but but you still comics. I've watched a lot of your YouTube, and I've watched all of your comic book YouTube. You've done some real good videos recently. That I really like
I appreciate it.
The Spider-Man video where you talk about the Japanese iterations, the manga iterations of Spider-Man. Because I originally, when I was getting a hold of you, I was like, I'm gonna have him read Fake Red, and then I watched that and I'm like, oh, he's already read it, so never mind.
Oh, I would have loved to reread that, so that wouldn't be a problem for me.
That was a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff like between comics and manga that like we were kind of talking about it like on message when we were chatting about doing this, on how comic book fans and manga readers sometimes like they feel like there's a barrier around them. Like people say read manga is easier because you just start from chapter 1, while in comics you need to do all of that. But honestly, I like if you come to from both worlds, you can see like that they are basically like the same in certain aspects. So it's so I recommend like everyone who read comics to read a manga sometime, and vice versa. Like if you are a manga reader, read a comic. Wait, did I just repeat
yeah, you're right. You're good.
But you guys got the point, okay?
Yeah, and mentioning of that, it's cool that you bring that up because today, this is about 1 Minute War. I have my Flash shirt on. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, nice.
And 1 Minute War, you started at issue 790. So there was no start at number 1, and I know that's a common barrier that we've talked. You brought up about getting into comics is, I have to start at number 1. Like manga, you just start at 1 all the time, and it's easier and all that. But we're gonna prove here today that you can start at issue 790, understand what's going on, and hopefully have a good time. But
especially like with a character like the Flash, because that thanks to the CW series, I like to believe that a lot of people like have a basic understanding of how the Flash world works, like with the characters.
Yeah.
Even though there were some characters that I didn't know about, because if I have to be honest with you, I was never that big of a Flash reader. Like, I was always like into Batman, Superman from DC, specifically Batman. And with Marvel, I was more like into Spider-Man, as I said, and Daredevil. So, Flash was always like an interesting read for me every time that I took a time to read something of him. Especially like with the different iterations that there are of the Flash. Because something that I really liked about the 1 Minute War is that literally every speedster in the DC universe is there. Like you have even some very obscure characters like Max Mercury, right?
Right.
I forgot the name.
Yeah.
And then you have Kid Flash, like the Wally West version, and the Wallace West as well.
Yep.
There's a lot of speedsters that honestly they are pretty cool.
The whole Flash family is in this comic. Yeah, it's sometimes it's a lot to keep up with just because of the sheer amount of, especially the more obscure ones. But you still the power set's the same. They're all speedsters. You get it's easy enough to get the idea.
Yeah, the thing about the Flash is that even though there are a lot of different variations, the feeling that you have reading like a Wally West story is the same as like Barry Allen story.
Yeah,
I at least that's for me. That's for me.
That's how I feel about it. I mean, I feel like once you get the Flash, you get the Flash. It's a lot of science. It's Speed Force, time travel shenaniganry. That's what you get. So
real.
So you don't read modern comics, like you're not reading active runs and things like that. So how did you feel about?
I very rarely do that. Sorry.
No, you're okay. So how did you feel about the 1 Minute War overall?
Okay, overall, I think it was a pretty cool read, especially like for a character like Flash. That, like, if you really think about it, like based on his power set, he technically is supposed to be the strongest character, like in DC, because he literally can travel back and forth in time. Like, depending on what version of the Flash you have, they have like Speed Force constructs as well. Mm-hmm. Basically, and like even like doing a little spoiler of the story, like when Superman shows up, like literally Superman is trying to keep up with the Flashes, but then he's so slow compared to him that like literally for them to explain the situation to him, it would take them like a lot of time that they don't have to waste. So so it's interesting when he's put like in a, let's say a universal, no, more than a universal, like a world-ending threat, like to deal alone. Because I feel like even though it's like the Flash family, it's basically like something that it doesn't happen that much. If I recall correctly with Flash, like usually you have a Superman with Darkseid, or even sometimes Batman with like the what's that run called? You know the one where Damian Wayne died. That's kind of old.
Right,
the name.
Like it's not the Killing Joke. It's
well, when he goes to Apocalypse to try to, sometimes you see Batman dealing with those kind of stuff, or even like the most recently the Death Metal saga. The whole killing. Yeah, usually you have Superman and Batman fronting those types of events, and Flash is always like a side character or like someone who. They need someone to die, and they make Flash die because, like, it's to show how powerful or evil the villains are. Yeah. When it would probably not be the case, like if we were to be like real about it.
I agree. I thought this event was cool because it was totally self-contained in the Flash.
Yes.
Which so you didn't have to read any other issues of anyone else's comic.
True.
It was all self-contained in the Flash. I love that Superman was in this book. Was in this little story where when they first rescue him, he's like, what? Because he can't talk at the same speed. And then I love that Superman makes a play at one point.
Yes.
There are a lot of really hype moments through this 1 Minute War story, I thought. And I love the hype because I'm a big manga reader too. And when I think of like hype moments, usually what pops into my mind are like, Dio Jotaro, like All Might Nomu, like these kind of hype fights. And 1 Minute War gave me some of those moments, and I think that's really exciting because sometimes comics aren't as hype, or they don't have the spectacular moments. And I think that this event had them, and there was a lot of Jay Garrick being awesome. There was.
I was gonna say that Jay Garrick stole the attention in this book. Like he was putting those hands at work. Like he was doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
no, Jay
and
Garrick
I was a little surprised that they didn't focus that much on Barry Allen, but at the same time, I'm happy that because if I have to be honest with you, like I know that this is probably gonna sound like an unpopular opinion, but Barry Allen is my least favorite Flash. Like based on like Jerry Garrick, Wally West, because like the Flash, when I started like getting into comics and superheroes, I think it was Wally West at the time. It was still like during Wally's run and stuff like that. And even with the Justice League television show, like Wally West was supposed to be the Flash in there. So
that's right. We got Wally West in the JLA. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Flash was always Wally West, and then you had like Jay Garrick doing some appearances here and there. But then, as soon as the CW Flash started like its run, then of course they started to focus a lot more on Barry Allen. But I don't know, I always felt like Barry wasn't as cool as Wally or Jay. And even in this story, it's kind of a little bit like that. Even though like he had that whole moment with Iris and stuff like that, which is cool.
Yeah, no, definitely Barry. I have a special place in my heart for Barry, but Barry is kind of like the white bread.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. No, because we have Jay Garrick, who had a whole bunch of moments in this book, and then Wally is a little bit more quippy, I guess.
Yes.
And a little bit more goofy, where Barry is a little bit more scientific and to the point.
Yes. Even though like I feel like in this specific book, it's kind of like they made Barry shine like only after Wally was out of the picture, to say it in a way that to not give spoilers to the readers.
That's okay. Spoilers are okay here.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Spoilers are fine. Yeah.
Okay. But so yeah, basically after like the whole like Wally vanished for a while, like they put Barry on the spotlight, and okay, that was interesting at that time because he was the one that came up with the plan. Let's send the guys back in time, and let's try to make so that this thing never happened. While Wally, even though he was the leader at first, it was like, yeah, let's just try to kick those guys' asses. So it's kind of nice to show how even though Barry, like, he's not, I don't know if he's the main Flash right now or I don't know how
it's been Wally since 1987. It's been Wally as the main Flash.
Okay, all right. And so basically, I liked how he took the situation in his hands, and then like when Wally came back, he was like he was there to fight the main bad guy, and he like did the final blow and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was cool. I did like how they gave Barry some shine. They gave all the Flash some shine.
Yes.
Like even the Kid Flash, Wallace, all of the side ones were given something to do, and I think that's important when you're dealing with any kind of big ensemble cast like this.
Yeah, I liked how Kid Flash and Impulse, they kind of were like two brothers. They had kind of like that feeling of like being two brothers who always like kind of fight each other, but then when the shit gets real, they are like there for each other. And literally, if I had to use one sentence to express that feeling, it would be like them being, what's the word? They are sharing one brain cell, because literally, like when they're fighting like the Huntress, like I forgot the name of the girl, like with
Miss Murder.
Yes, basically, they were like, "Oh my God, she's basically that fast that she can read your thoughts and basically know what you're gonna do. So there's no way to escape that." And they're like, "Well, let's just not think," and then they literally escape her.
Yeah, they just turn on Ultra Instinct and call it a day. Like,
yes, yeah, that's something that I like too.
I thought it was cool how they go early and everyone's like, we got to come up with a plan. Maybe if we can steal some of their tech, and they're like, all right, we're gonna go do that. And it's like, wait, no, the whole plan.
Yeah.
But they figure out a whole bunch of stuff along the way. They figure out that the Fraction, which are the bad guys in this, are using speedsters, organic speedsters that can just happen to the Speed Force as batteries. And I guess just to catch everyone up to speed a little bit. So the Fraction come down, and the Fraction have harnessed the Speed Force artificially. So they're able to go down to planets, take them over real fast, and leave, and steal all their resources and all that to grow their empire, yada yada. Evil empire, bad guy stuff.
Yes.
So they use the living conduits, they call them, so like speedsters as batteries. So they're trying to capture the speedsters actively through this. They're not just an obstacle in the way. They're a means
they're not
to
just trying to kill them. They need them to make their empire stronger.
Right, which is cool, and I think it's cool because it shows, like, you know, going back to Jay Garrick again. He has a lot of good moments in it when he's they capture him to operate on him. He like spits his tooth out and takes out the dude and gets away and is like, all right, now it's time for Jay Garrick. And he just goes through the hallways, just taking dudes out. And man, I appreciated it.
The fact that he figured out like to wait for the exact moment to attack. It's like he could have started attacking at any moment, you know, as soon as he got out of the dissecting room and stuff like that. But then when he saw that everyone was there, he saw what was gonna happen. He waited the exact moment that he needed to like start and like to enter the fight and like kick people's ass, aliens' ass.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome, and you know, and that fits like his character because Jay Garrick, like World War II, like, you know, JSA. Like, he's that old school hard, and it shows even early on.
And I like
whenever
how
they first drop down,
torturing him.
Yeah, they're like torturing him, and then he's like, good shape for an old guy.
Yeah, and people are like, and then he says to the aliens, like, you guys are not torturing me. The last time that someone tortured me, like, they literally made me spit my teeth. Like, you guys are just like, you guys are nothing to me, basically. He's saying.
Yeah, he's just taunting them, like. And it's so good. It's so good. And let's see, another little panel. And this is one of my favorite moments too in this is Superman making the play. Just against Miss Murder's dogs, right when the chips are down, Superman comes through. And I'm a big Superman fan. Superman's my favorite hero.
Me too.
So
me too.
But there's just so many good moments through this run. It was so well done, like start to finish. Nice cohesive story. It was self-contained. Like, I can't say enough about it. The art's really pretty good.
Yes. Well, what is your opinion on like the style changes that we had like towards the end? It's like I noticed that they changed the artist like towards like I think the last 2 chapters of this arc. Yeah. And like did it took you out a little bit of the read, or it was something that like you don't it didn't change your experience at all?
As someone who reads comics frequently, it didn't take me out of the experience too much because we're used to a guest artist here or there. I don't like it when they do it, especially on an event. Like, you want a nice, cohesive, total package. But as someone who deals with it actively, it wasn't a big deal. But I can see that's interesting that you bring it up, though.
Yeah, because I remember like when I was there, I was like, oh, they changed the artist for this, and I started to get a little worried, like, because I know, like, at least from when I used to read comics, like you tried to have like the same artist for the entire run, but sometimes they had some changes, something happened, and then it always took me out a little bit because there are some cases in which you get so used to the art that it takes you out. At least that it was a little bit like that with me with. Going back to Marvel with Ultimate Spider-Man when they did like the switch from Mark Bagley's art style, and they went with David. I forgot his name. David something. It's I'm gonna have to search that name later. But he's an amazing artist as well. Not to take anything out of him, but the fact that like I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been reading that many manga right now that you get used to seeing one art style, and then when it changes, it feels like, oh my god, am I still reading the same story? Did I lost something? Like I remember when the I think it was the Legion of Superheroes, the guys that came from the future. I'm not 100% sure. I think I don't know if that's the case, but the girl wearing the gold and blue outfit, was she like a Booster Gold / Blue Beetle like fusion or something? Because she had like the elements of both costumes. And I was like, I don't know, maybe she's like an amalgam version of both, or maybe she's the daughter of one of these two, or maybe even the two of them. Because it wouldn't surprise me if Booster Gold and Blue Beetle they were a couple, because literally they are like two of the funniest characters in like all of DC. So I love them.
I'm not sure if Gold Beetle. I'm not sure what her origin is actually. That's a character I'm not very versed on. So, but yeah, it definitely seems like kind of an amalgamation of Blue Beetle and Booster Gold with the Gold Beetle, just the name, the stylization, like it's pretty cool.
But
I like how
even there. Sorry, my bad.
Oh no, you're right. I even like how they brought in that whole. I forget what it's called. The little speedster organization. And,
yes.
I like how there's.
I'm gonna call it the Flash Fan Club. I'm gonna call it like that.
Yes, the Flash Fan Club. And there's like a Velociraptor. There's like all these goofy, wacky speedster characters. Like it's very Spider-Verse-y. That's the vibe. It was kooky. I liked it.
That you make me think about it. A Flash film, a Flash animated film, or like even a live action, like inspired by the multiverse, like Spider-Man, like the Into the Spider-Verse. That would be so fucking good.
So good. It's so good. They're all so good. Like I'm so ready for the third one to come out because the second one was the first one. We watch that and you're like, wow, this is incredible. There's no way it gets better than this. And then the second one comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, it's better than this.
Yes.
And now we have one more to go.
Yeah, I really like it, but just going on a little tangent here because I still want to talk about the 1 minute war, but since we are talking about the Spider-Man comics,
absolutely. I'm at it.
What is your opinion of Miguel O'Hara in the movies? Do you think that he's a good adaptation of its character, or do you think that maybe they try to adapt it to what the movie needed him to be?
I think they probably pushed him a little bit into what the movie needed to be. He was a little broody,
Yeah.
A little too broody, a little too downer. But I mean, he's kind of like that in the comics. Like it's close, but I think they definitely pushed him a little way just to fit what they needed.
Because that was the only, if I had to pick something that I didn't enjoy that much of about that movie, it was like how they treated Miguel. Because I read the original Spider-Man 2099 run, and he was a little bit like that, but they made him look too much like the villain, like in my opinion.
Almost a little too villainy. I agree with that. But I mean, I don't know, pretty good overall. What are you gonna do? Like, if that's the biggest complaint.
Yes,
I mean, it wasn't bad. Movie. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't perfect. Miguel O'Hara. Yeah.
I'm hoping that they redeem his character in the third one. So, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I assume they will. I mean, they've done it solid twice. I doubt they're gonna drop the bag on the third one.
Well, they usually do with the third one, Oh my god.
Oh gosh, don't put that juju out there. That's not what we need.
No. But going back to the 1 minute war, like even like mentioning what we were talking about right now about not being that familiar with the Golden Beetle, like it's something that, let's say, that may be something that a manga reader would think that is like a turn off because you are introduced to a character that you don't know nothing as of right now. But something that I always did, like when I was reading like comics consistently, let's say I found a character, let's say there's a character that is introduced in that specific run that I'm reading. Like if there's no explanation, I'm just gonna go search who that character is, and maybe even trying to find out comics about that character so that I can get introduced to it. But then there still isn't the problem of trying to, the number one. You need to start with number one and stuff like that, because you can even go to fan sites where they kind of list all the stuff that the hero went through and stuff like that, kind of like Wikipedia but superheroes. I forgot the name. Like I used to read those back in high school. Like every time that I got introduced to a new character, I
got to go look up everything there.
Yeah, because I wanted to know who that character is, if it was interesting or not, and to see how he affects the story that he's in. Because sometimes, let's say you introduce a character, let's say when they put the Punisher in Daredevil stories, that it serves a specific part in the story, and it isn't out of character for the Punisher to act in that way towards Daredevil when they do meet up.
Right.
So that's why what I like when they do these types of crossovers, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It gives exposure to lesser characters,
Yes.
and it doesn't. And like I said, I'm not very familiar with Gold Beetle. Didn't take away from the whole story at all.
Exactly.
You still get to, this moment here. By the way, you mentioned the art style change, Jeff. Here it is.
Yeah.
Which it is pretty drastic if we look from here, and then we go down to this. So it is pretty drastic. But either way, once you get to this moment where you think Barry saves the day, Barry wins the battle, you're like, all right, we did it, and
we stopped
all
the bad
of that.
guy.
Yeah, all of those minor characters that you might not have known, it doesn't matter because you guys watch this story, you watch these fights, you saw this build up, and we get to the payoff, and it's all okay, even though you started at 790. And I think that's awesome.
Yes, that's awesome. Like, if I could give like an advice to people, like don't worry about what issue you're starting. Just pick a run that you feel it's interesting to you and just read it. You gotta figure out the rest later. So you just need to. The most important thing, like with everything in your life, is the beginning. You need to start. It doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when. You only need to start doing stuff.
Ooh, that's some sage-like advice. I like that. That's good. I agree, though. Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna start something and it's all gonna be explained. Like if that's how the first issue of anything you read was, it'd be boring. So that's why I think you could start anytime. I mean, obviously manga, you can start at 1. That's okay. Yes. I mean, a little different because it's an easier jump on. But with comics, you can really jump in at any point and over 2 or 3 issues have enough of an idea of what's going on. And if nothing else, you flow into the next storyline. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard, guys.
And if not, you can always search another one. Like, let's say you didn't like a specific story of a specific character. Just go find another one from another character that you think you're gonna like. Or maybe even about that specific character. Because something that is very interesting about comics is that you can have the same character that acts in 2 different ways depending on like the comics that you're reading. Like I'm gonna do an example here with let me think about it. Let's use the Flash. Like in his main stories, of course, he's like very smart. He's intelligent. He can basically solve any situation that you throw at him. But when you put him like in a Justice League comic, he sometimes doesn't do all that stuff that he would normally do, like when he's on his standalone series. Because of course they need to make the whole league shine in different ways. In recent years, they have been going a lot with Batman and stuff like that, which is a little bit of a turn off to me right now. Because as much as I am a Batman fan, lover, whatever, I don't like when they make him go through stuff that doesn't make sense for him. I think the last Batman run that I've read is the one where there's Failsafe.
You read the Failsafe arc, yeah.
Yes. Basically, they send Batman to space. And then he just he comes down to Earth without any special suit, without any armor or anything, and he survives the landing. Like that's a little bit too much for me,
That pushed a lot of people off Failsafe, I think. A lot of the comic community, they were on board. They're like, man, this is good. This Chip Zdarsky runs great so far. And then it's like, Batman uses his underwear to get to the atmosphere. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that they lost me at that.
They lost a lot of people there, I think.
What I like my favorite Batman runs are the ones where Batman fights against corruption, corporations, even like his villains. But there's always that like a grounded element. Like there's nothing that is world threatening in Batman story. Like let's say in Batman Year One, which is probably one of my favorite Batman stories. Like he's just fighting against the mob. There's nothing much going on. Or in the Long Halloween, you start to have those like supernatural elements, but it's still like a very grounded story.
Yeah.
Even if you go like to, let's say, The Dark Knight Returns, which is my absolute favorite Batman story. Hold on, I literally have it here. Oh wait, where is it? God damn it. Here. Found it. Here. I always kept it. Like I try to read this like at least once a year, just because it's too damn
so
good.
Good. So good. It's funny because Batman can be either super street level like that,
yes,
or he's like this universal. I sit on the Morbius chair, and both stories are cool. But there's something about the grounded street level Batman that's like it feels the most natural.
Yeah, but even like the reason that I decided to pick like The Dark Knight Returns to make an example is that like in this story there is like a very big threat for Batman at the end, which is the fight with Superman. Which of course is like a world level threat to say the least. So even though he is like depowered from the sun and stuff like that, there still is that like very big obstacle that Batman needs to out jump or out pass or whatever. But I think that in The Dark Knight Returns is done properly. It is good because it still feels grounded, but at the same time it puts Batman to a pedestal. That is like it makes sense to compare him to heroes like Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and the Flash.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about The Dark Knight Strikes Again. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about anything else from Frank Miller's Batman. The only thing that we talk about is Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, that's good enough. You get one masterpiece. Yeah. That's good enough.
Exactly. What do you think is Frank Miller's masterpiece? Like between like all his works.
That's a hard question. That's a really hard question. I am too partial to The Dark Knight Returns though. I think that was one of the first Batman stories I experienced in its entirety. So yes. I have a real soft spot for The Dark Knight Returns because I only really got into collecting comics maybe I think like January of 2022, so pretty recently.
It's pretty recently.
Real recently, but the last, the almost decade before that, it was all manga, and I only tried comics kind of because I lost a bet. Because because I used to be in that camp of like, well, manga's way better. There's nothing in American comics. Like I used to be in that camp.
There's nothing that is better than manga. Yeah.
Oh yes, it is the ultimate.
Oh my god.
So I used to be on that side because I never really read comics, but I'd like watch the Marvel movies. I enjoyed American comics, and then one day it just hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, obviously there has to be peak fiction on both sides.
Yes.
Time to experience
there
it.
Is.
And then I was like, all right, let's dive in. And one of the first was The Dark Knight Returns. I watched the animated
animation. Nice.
And then after that, I was like, I want to read this. So I went out and I read it, and I was like, oh, this is where it's at. And I was like, this is what I had been missing. There was all this excellent material that I was just
there's a lot of amazing comic books out there. They're like The Dark Knight. I'm just gonna name a few that like are on the top of my head. The Dark Knight Returns, Kingdom Come, All Star Superman. From Marvel, I'm thinking about so because as much as I love like Marvel, I don't like to read like big events of Marvel. Like I think I've only read the first Civil War and Avengers versus X-Men. But if we're talking about big events, I think that DC has the cake.
DC
like they have like they have the Crisis, Kingdom Come. Even the New 52, like the New 52, Flashpoint. My bad, Flashpoint. That leads to the New 52. Yeah, I always love those big events, and it's nice that the DC knew how to use those in a way to adapt some of those comics in like animations. Because like as you said, like your introduction to The Dark Knight Returns was. Thanks to the animation, which was the same case as me. I first watched the animation and then read the comics. And they knew how they learned how to do that. And for a lot of time, they used this weapon, as to say, let's call it weapon, because my vocabulary is very limited. Sorry.
No, you're fine, man. You're good.
And a lot of the reasons that I've decided to read a lot of DC like big events are because of those animated movies. Like they did the All-Star Superman movie, they did like the Death of Superman, The Dark Knight Returns, Gotham by Gaslight. A lot of incredible stories. I'm not following this new universe that they are doing, the Tomorrow universe.
Tomorrowverse.
I think I'm not following it because I've seen the trailers and I'm like, this doesn't look like what DC used to do with animation. So
it's severely okay.
The
first movie, Man of Tomorrow, was actually really good. I will say, Man of Tomorrow.
I've watched that. I've watched the only one that I've watched.
Yeah.
But even there, I think it was okay. Like if you compare it to what we have as Superman movies at the time, because if you compare it to other stuff, it is like, I know that's just how I think. Because by the way, since we're talking about Superman, what is your opinion? Superman. Yeah, I want to talk about Superman. Yeah. What's your opinion on like the new Superman movie that is coming out?
Oh,
are you hyped? Are you scared?
I'm hyped, bro. I'm hyped. I'm all in. I got my chips in. I want a live action DC universe so bad. I want it so bad, and I'm pretty hyped. I with the suit reveal, as we all know, as the internet saw. Yes. I'm on board with it. I think it definitely looks very blue collar, hard work.
Yes.
Superman. It does. It kind of has the collar and a lot of the finaglings of the New 52 suit. I like the New 52 suit. I actually read the New 52 Justice League. I really liked it.
Me too.
I didn't like Superman in it though. I will say I liked all of it, but I just didn't like Superman in it. But I'm on board. I think David Corn's sweet.
He's gonna be an amazing Superman.
He's gonna do it, man.
Even though like the stakes, like the stakes are pretty high because this movie needs to succeed. It's not like it just can't be good. It needs to be like something that makes people go to the cinemas. It needs to be talked about because that's what DC needs right now in the movies.
Yes.
Like because of course even the MCU is having like a dark moment right now. But I would say DC desperately needs like this movie to be like topping the box office like for 4 weeks in a row. It needs to do this to elevate the status of DC and the status of Superman, because like the large audience hasn't seen Superman in a standalone movie since like 2013 with the Man of Steel. Like this was the last time that Superman had like a solo movie. And like I hate how people say when people say that Superman is boring, because if you read like one Superman comic book, you're gonna see that he's not boring.
You read one comic, one time, and you understand that Superman isn't just this white bread Boy Scout, and he's the greatest hero there ever was.
Or another thing that I hate about like a misconception that people have about Superman is that he is either boring or he either is better when he's an evil guy, like let's say in Injustice or stuff like that. To be fair, I used to like Injustice when I was a teenager. Like I used to read every, like I think it was a monthly release when Injustice was. I remember like buying like the volumes in English on my phone where I was reading them and stuff. And I like it because I was a big Batman fanboy. So the fact that Batman was fighting against Superman was cool. But then when you read this story, you reread it as a Superman fan, you see that they did Superman. Actually, they did a lot of heroes dirty in that story. Like Wonder Woman was one that literally, if there's a character that I hate, is Injustice Wonder Woman, because she's nothing like
she would never roll over like that. She's a warrior. There's no way she's rolling over like that. The Flash, they just reduced them to just like, hey, go get my coffee. Like, how dare you guys do my boy?
Even like Hal Jordan, they made Hal Jordan look like an idiot. Like, you can figure out that Sinestro killed Jon Stewart, and then you're gonna immediately kill Guy Gardner. Come on,
right?
Like, Hal Jordan, he's bro. That's why I don't like Injustice anymore, because like as soon as you start to read it not as a Batman story but as like a general DC universe story, you see that a lot of characters are acting out of character. Like they are not doing what they were supposed. Because what I like about Kingdom Come is that basically Superman went through this pretty much the same thing. Like the Joker kills Lois Lane and everything, and the public wants him to kill the Joker, but he doesn't, because it just makes it looks that the only connection that Superman has with his humanity and humanity in general is Lois Lane, which is not true.
Which is wild, because Clark. I say, man, every time Superman gets brought up, Clark Kent is Superman. Like where Batman is Bruce Wayne. You can say Batman's alter ego is Bruce Wayne, where Superman's alter ego is Superman. Like Clark Kent is the character, and so many people don't understand that, and they don't get that because he loses Lois. He would grieve like any normal human, because that's who he is. He's a Midwest dude from Kansas.
And like people like to mention how Superman is like this outcast figure, he's not human and stuff like that. But even though like Superman knows that he's a Kryptonian, of course, but we need to remember that like for the first 20 years of his life, he didn't know that. For all that he knew, he was just like a human that was born with superpowers. So that's why he has this attachment with humanity. It's not like something that just because I figured out that I'm an alien now, that means that I'm not a human anymore. Because let's be honest, Superman is a more human character than Batman is. Like Batman has ascended to like this godlike status where literally everything that he does is planned to the point where like he needs to come on top every time. Well, Superman, as much as he could be like this all power character that like do whatever he wants, he just decides to do good, and that's what I like about it. He knows that he can't save everyone, but he tries. That doesn't stop him from trying. And that's why I love Superman.
I agree, and that's what we need to see in the movie. We need to see
stuff that I want to see in the movie. Superman saving cats from the trees, helping kids, doing the whole thing. I love Henry Cavill. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that with every ounce of my body. I love Henry Cavill, and I love his interpretation of Superman. But right now, we need a Superman like that. We need a Superman that is the complete opposite of what Henry Cavill Superman was. Because 100%. People needs to feel inspired, to see hope when they think about Superman, and not think about like someone who is destroying cities. And again, I'm not throwing shade to Zack Snyder or whatever. People may interpret that as me hating, but I do like a diverse interpretation of a character. I understand that that's something that can happen, but I need Superman to feel like Superman in that next movie.
I know, we need it. So fingers crossed. I hope we get it.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. So, all right. So, what are you reading right now? So I know you're a manga, little comics, but what are you reading right now? What's on the hot list for you right now?
Okay. Right now, if we want to still talk about comics, the only comics that I'm reading right now is the new Ultimate Spider-Man run from I forgot the name, but the one where Peter Parker is an adult. There's this new Ultimate Universe.
Yep.
If we're talking about like comics, that's the only one that I'm reading because I have stopped reading Spider-Man comics I think it was around at the end of the Superior Spider-Man run.
Okay.
Because I didn't like the direction that they were going with the character. Because my favorite Spider-Man run is the one with J. Michael Straczynski and John Romita Jr. When there's more Loom, stuff like that. I love that Spider-Man because he's an adult, he acts like an adult, he has a job, he's married. Yeah. And then they did the whole one more day thing, and then Peter Parker started acting like a man-child, and that's something that it felt like a regression of the character, something that I couldn't get past through. And even now, I'm not reading it, but I'm only hearing people talk about the Zeb Wells run, where there's the whole pole thing, the whole jackpot situation.
Yeah.
It's just making me not read Spider-Man comics. But then Ultimate Spider-Man came out, and I was like, I'm all on board. Peter Parker married with MJ and having kids. That's it. That's what we want.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I'm not reading any of the Ultimate Verse stuff. I should.
You're not?
I'm not. I need to. I'm not. I didn't start pulling any of it, so I need to catch back up.
I don't know if they've already started with the others. Like, I know that they're supposed to launch like a Black Panther one.
Black Panther's out. X-Men's
Black
out.
Panther's already out.
Spider-Man's out. And then they're going to start their Avengers book, The Ultimates.
Yes.
They're going to start that soon, I think.
By the way, I know that I'm just another like a little jump here, because I would like to hear your opinion on X-Men 97, but we can talk about that after we talk about what I'm reading right now, if you want.
That's fine. Yeah. So what else are you reading? What manga are you reading?
Okay, right. I'm gonna have to pull my phone here because I have like a list of stuff that I'm reading right now.
Okay, I get it. I get how it is. Keeping up week to week.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Viz holding my place, I'd be lost.
Yeah, same. Fuck, where is that here? Okay, found it. Basically, what I am reading right now, first and foremost, I'm reading Chainsaw Man. Like, I've watched the anime, I've catch up with the manga, and so right now I am waiting weekly for it. Chainsaw Man is amazing. Like, honestly, I was surprised when I started hearing about it. Like, I remember, like, I've seen some people mention it on Twitter before, like, the anime was out. And I was like, oh, okay, this seems interesting. I'm gonna keep it on my watch list. And then the anime came out, and it was amazing. Then after that, I was like, I need more of this. I need to figure out how this stuff ends. And so I started reading the manga. And then, I am reading Spider-Man Octopus Girl, which is a manga about Dr. Octopus. He transferred his mind in the body of a 14-year-old Japanese girl. It's basically the Superior Spider-Man run, but in Japan with cute anime girls. That's it. That's basically the run.
You talk about that in your Spider-Man video. I talk about. Link in the description below.
Yes, watch that video. And then there's a bunch of like different stuff because I try to read a little bit of everything, but more specifically, I'm into two big genres: horror mangas, which I sometimes talk about in my channel. Right now, I'm reading one that is called where is it? 100 Ghost Stories of My Own Death, which is basically like in each chapter, there's the main character that tells us a story like that in his head is a fabricated story, but then this story kind of happens to someone, and then it leads to their death. And basically, I'm curious to know what's gonna happen on chapter 100, because right now we are only at chapter 78, so I want to know when we get to 100 what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of like cool slice of life mangas. Like there's one which is called Now That We Draw, which basically follows like this duo relationship of like aspiring manga drawers that wants to become they want to become mangakas, but both of their editors told them that they don't know how to write romance because they have never experienced romance. So these two start dating because they want to experience what is romance for their manga. And this leads to some like fun shenanigans and stuff like that. Then, if we want to get a little bit more serious, I'm also reading a manga called Vagabond, which is by the same author of I forgot the name. No, it's a basket anime. Oh, fuck! I forgot the name. They're gonna kill me for that. People, anime fans.
You're gonna get roasted.
Yeah, I'm gonna get roasted because I forgot. We literally talked about it on like one of the episodes of the podcast.
Vinland Saga. I've read like the first maybe 10 chapters, and that's one that I'm like, that's on my list. I need to come back and circle back for that one.
Yeah, I've never read or watched Vinland Saga yet, because it's one of those anime that is in my list and is like very on top. But I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it someday. So I'm not on a rush to read it. So yeah, but there's other stories, but these are the ones that are like like weekly checking to see how they're doing and stuff like that.
Is One Piece on there?
Not yet. I want to get into One Piece, but the thing is, I have a very interesting opinion about shonen manga like One Piece.
Okay.
I think it's better to watch them than read them, because like even though it's faster, like let's say if I wanted to catch up with One Piece, the easiest way would be to read it, because like you can read like comics. You can read a comic wherever you are on your phone. It doesn't take you that much time. Basically, you can read like what 20 chapters like in one day without like breaking a sweat, depending on how fast you read, and of course. But the thing with anime, you know, there's the whole soundtrack, the animation. You feel the stakes a little bit more compared to, you know, the manga. So stuff like One Piece, I think it would be better to experience it like watching the anime, but I don't have the time to watch it right now. So I'm trying to find an opening on my schedule to go watch it someday before it ends, because I would like to jump on the hype train, because I sometimes I see people like posting stuff on Twitter, and I'm like, this seems cool, but I have no idea what is going on here. So
One Piece is great. And I agree, you do need to watch it, because I am kind of in the same boat. I like to watch, especially shonen, because you know sometimes it's flashier, and like especially with One Piece, like hearing it's because it's kind of a comedic, you know, has a lot of comedy in it too. Hearing the laughs and hearing the voices and like the opening,
it is a different experience.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's just wholesome.
I want to watch One Piece, because I think it's the only like big 3 anime that I still need to watch, because I've watched Naruto, like I haven't finished it, but I've watched it. I've watched Bleach, which is probably one of my favorite animes of all time.
Nice.
And so One Piece is the only one that is missing on the list. So I'm gonna have to watch it at some point.
I've been getting into slice of life a little bit in manga. Before I was almost strictly shonen, but I've been branching out over the last few months. So,
if you want, I can recommend you some interesting stuff. That it's pretty cool. Do you
right now I'm really into Komi Can't Communicate.
Ooh, okay.
I'm liking that. Blue Box is one of mine that I'm gonna. That's on the list. And then Spy Family, kind of slice of life.
Spy Family.
I like. Spy Family.
It is.
It's
Spy Family is cool.
I like that. Cool. I went and saw Spy Family Code White, whatever the movie
you went on
that came out. I went and saw that last week. So I do appreciate it. It warms my heart. Those slice of life ones. It's just different.
It's just nice. It's a break from like the very high stake manga or anime or comics. You just like follow like a couple that is literally fighting just so they can hold hands. That's the most like cute thing ever. In my book. When we're talking about slice of life, like there's a lot of stuff like comic can communicate. There's an anime that I forget the name. It's Aharen-san something, which is basically like comic can communicate, but it's about like this relationship of this couple that like one of them don't talk and the other one don't talk either, but they're like best friends because like they understand each other. They go to do karaoke and neither of them sings and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
All right, man. Well,
yeah.
Anything else you wanna throw on? If not, I think we got a good wrap here.
All right. If I had to mention something else before we finish, like I wanted to ask your opinion on the X-Men '97. I don't know if you have been watching it or anything, but this seems like
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Nice.
I watched the X-Men series growing up. That was like prime time for me watching that growing up. So when this came out, I was like, oh man, I 100% am getting on this. Yes. And I'm not a big X-Men fan, is the thing.
Oh, me neither.
But I'm in for the show. Every episode that's coming out, I'm on board. Like I'm just as hype about this as like My Adventures with Superman, which was.
Oh yeah, My Adventures with Superman was a surprise. I wasn't expecting an anime about Superman, but it literally blew my mind when I was like. But again, same thing that we were talking about. It is good, of course. It's not like mind blowing, but it is pretty good. And at the time, that's what Superman needed. Something that is good.
Yeah, it was good. But X-Men '97, I'm on board. People should watch it. I think a lot of people are, but people should definitely watch it if they just want the nostalgia. Yeah.
Yes. I'm really hoping for a Spider-Man 98 now, because like I watched a lot of the original Spider-Man animation series, and I'm hoping that they do the same thing that they did with the X-Men, because that would be so.
it would be. Oh yeah, that'd be good. Nice new thing of polish on it. Ooh. I could deal with that. But man, thanks for coming on, reading 1 Minute War, discussing it with me. I think we had a good talk. And
thank you for inviting me, because I don't get to talk about comics that much. So I love every time that I talk about comics.
I know, right? Because yeah. Where else are you gonna do it? So
yeah.
But yeah, everybody, make sure you check out the Animate. Great channel, great content. He does comic stuff too. I know a lot of my followers or people that subscribe here are more comic than manga, but check his out. He does a lot of good stuff on both sides. So, and I will catch you guys all in the next one, I guess.